إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. أما بعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over التعليق على نواقض الإسلام by the فضيلة الشيخ العلامة Sheikh Ahmed bin Yahya al-Najmi rahimahullah ta'ala. We have reached the third naqid from the nawaqid al-Islam. We had reached the third nullifier from the nullifiers of Islam. And as we explained, or as we had mentioned, it is important that we know what are the nullifiers of al-Islam so that we don't fall into them unknowingly. The Shaykh, he mentions, he says, the Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, الثالث, and third, من لم يكفر المشركين أو شك في كفرهم أو صح مذهبهم كفر. He says, and thirdly, the one who does not deem to be a kafir, the polytheist or the kuffar, or they have doubt in their disbelief, or those who deem as correct their way, then verily they have disbelieved, they have made kufr. Meaning that those who do not make takfir upon those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us are kuffar. Those who do not deem as being kuffar, those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us that they are kuffar. Those who do not deem as being kuffar, those whom the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has informed us that they are kuffar, then this individual would have nullified their Islam. This is a nullifier from the nullifiers of Islam. Likewise, those who have doubt on whether or not those who are kuffar, those who have doubt that the polytheists are kuffar, or they have doubt that Ahlul Kitab are kuffar, and so on and so forth, and this is a nullifier from the nullifiers of Islam. Likewise, those who deem the way and the methodology and of the disbelievers to be correct, then likewise this is a nullifier from the nullifiers of al-Islam. The Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قد سمى المشركين كفارا في غير ما آية He said that Allah Ta'ala, He has named the polytheists as being kuffar in more than one ayah. In more than one ayah. فَمِن ذَلِكَ, and from those ayat is Allah Ta'ala's statement, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمْ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أُولَئِكَ هُمْ شَرُّ الْبَرِيَّةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that and verily those who disbelieve from Ahl al-Kitab and from the polytheists, they shall abide in the fires of the hellfire, or they shall abide inside of the hellfire. They will be in hell and they will abide therein, and verily they are the worst of creatures. So here in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has named the people of the book and He has named the polytheists as being kuffar. وقال إمام محمد الأمين الشنقيطي رحمه الله تعالى, the author of the famous tafsir Adwa'ul Bayan, he mentions, as he says رحمه الله تعالى, ذكر هنا الذين كفروا. He said Allah mentions here those who disbelieve. There's mentioned here those who disbelieve. ثُمَّ جَاءَتْ مِن, and then this word min comes from. He said, so firstly it is mentioned those who disbelieve, and then there comes this word min, from, that verily those who disbelieve from. وَجَاءَ بَعْدَهَا أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ, and then after that it is mentioned the people of the book, وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ, and the polytheist. He said, so you find that there comes mention of the kuffar, then there comes the word from, and then after that comes the people of the book and the polytheists. So the Shaykh, he says, وَمِمَّا يُشْعَرُ بِأَنَّ وَصْفُ الْكُفْرِ يَشْمَلْ كُلًّا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ. He says is that it is understood, and one will notice, he will take notice to, that the description of disbelief encompasses both the people of the book as well as the polytheist. So upon first, what would you say? The first thing you will realize is that both groups, from the people of the book as well as the polytheists, then they are both kuffar. That kufr, disbelief, encompasses both of them. Kama yush'ar, just like it will be noticed, marratan ukhra, for a second time, أن المشركين ليسوا من أهل الكتاب لوجود العطف وأن الأهل الكتاب ليسوا من المشركين. He said, and also you would sense and you would understand when you look at it for a second time that the polytheists, they are not the people of the book, and this is due to the atf being there, meaning well, and, because it says, and verily those who disbelieve from the people of the book and the polytheists. So this word and makes us understand that we're speaking about two separate groups of kuffar, two different types of kuffar. Naam. He says, so we understand that the pagans are not, and the polytheists, they are not from the people of the book, or they are not the people of the book, and that the people of the book, they are not the pagans. They are not the pagans. Naam. The Shaykh, he says, وَهَذَا مَبْحَث مَعْرُوف عند متكلمين وعلماء التفسير. He said, and this is a field of research and discussion that is very well known amongst the scholars, and yani amongst the ulama of tafsir, amongst the scholars and the ulama of tafsir. Naam. على كل, the Shaykh, he says that واتفقوا, and they have agreed, meaning both the mutakallimin, those ones given to rhetoric and the like, as well as the ulama of tafsir, they agree that Ahl al-Kitab humul Yahud wal Nasara, that the people of the book, they are referred, or people of the book, they are the Jews and the Christians. وَأَنَّ الْمُشْرِكِينَ, and that the polytheists or the pagans, hum abadatul awthan, they are those who worship the idols. They are those who are idol worshippers, idolaters. So the mushrikeen in this ayah is being referred to the idol worshippers, those who worship statues and the like. And they also agree with kufr yajma' al-qismayn, and that disbelief encompasses both parties. So both the polytheists and the people of the book are kuffar. And this is something that is very important for us to know and to realize, because we live in a time, especially those proponents of a unification of the religions or interfaith dialogue, they bring doubts and they try to say that the people of the book are not kuffar, or that you have from the people of the book those who believe in others from amongst them who are kuffar. Now, this is what the doubt they try to bring. And then they will bring the likes of this ayah, إِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ. And usually you'll find that they stop there, that those who disbelieve from the people of the book, and then they stop. And they say, you see, it says from. So that means that they're from the people of the book, those who disbelieve, and they're from the people of the book, those who believe. Right? But we realize that this is something that is erroneous, because the ulama of tafsir, they agree that the people of the book was being referred to, they are the Jews and the Christians, and they agree that they are all kuffar, all of them, the kuffar. Naam. And likewise that the mushrikeen or the mushrikun, then they are those who worship graves, or those who worship statues, and those who worship idols, and so on and so forth, and that these individuals, then they are what? They are kuffar. Naam. Tayyib. Also, when we look back at their statement, we realize that this is erroneous from the standpoint is that if we accept that there are believers from the people of the book based upon this ayah, then that will necessitate that there are also believers from the polytheists based upon what their argument. And we know that's not the case. We know that's not the case. That's like a person coming and saying some Hindus are believers and other Hindus are disbelievers. Now, it's like a person coming and saying some people who are given to ancestral worship and the like, some of them are believers and others are not, are disbelievers. Some Buddhists are believers while other Buddhists are disbelievers. And no one would accept this. We would say, no, this is not the case. Now, this is not the case. They're kuffar. Right. So if it is true that all of them are kuffar, then likewise all of Ahl al-Kitab are kuffar. And this is something that is well known from the proofs and evidences. Ala kulli. The Shaykh, he says, ففي هذه الآية جمع الله أهل الكتاب والمشركين. He said in this ayah, Allah Ta'ala has brought together Ahl al-Kitab and the polytheists. So Allah has combined in this ayah the Jews and the Christians, the people of the book, meaning the Jews and the Christians, and the polytheists. وَبَيَّنَ أَنَّهُمْ كُفَّارٌ. And Allah Ta'ala has made it clear that they are disbelievers. وَأَنَّ مَأْوَاهُمْ جَهَنَّمْ. And that verily their final abode will be the hellfire. So Allah Ta'ala in this ayah, He makes it clear that both parties, that both the people of the book and the polytheists, they are both kuffar, and that their final abode will be the hellfire. وَقَالَ عَلَى الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And Allah Ta'ala, He has said about the polytheists, Naam, على الانفراد or على الانفراد, he has said about the polytheists specifically or exclusively, زعم الذين كفروا أن لن يبعثوا, that those polytheists, that verily those who disbelieve, they believe that they will never be resurrected, because this was from the aqid of the polytheists, is that they believe that there will be no resurrection, there will be no life after this life. And Allah Ta'ala, He calls them what? Those who disbelieve. زَعَمَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. So anyone who denies the resurrection, anyone who denies the hereafter, then they are kuffar. Naam. And this is clear from this ayah. So this also brings us to the point about the nation of kufr. The nation of kufr, those who follow the false messenger and the liar and the one who was not honorable, Elijah Muhammad, because they don't believe in a hereafter. They don't believe in a hereafter. In fact, you find from their famous statements is that heaven is no higher than a man's head and hell is no lower than his feet. So their denial of an afterlife, their denial of a hereafter, proves and is a dalil of their disbelief. And what's the proof? Is this ayah here in Surah At-Taghabun, and it's verse number 7. As Allah Ta'ala, He says, زَعَمَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَلَّن يُبْعَثُوا, that those who disbelieve, they falsely think and they falsely believe that they will never be resurrected. Allah Ta'ala, He says, قُلْ بَلَا وَرَبِّي لَتُبْعَثُنَّ ثُمَّ لَتُنَبَّؤُنَّ بِمَا عَمِلْتُمْ. Allah Ta'ala, He says, say to them, rather you will be resurrected and then you will be informed about what you used to do. وَذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ يَسِيرٌ. And this is easy upon Allah. This is easy upon Allah. So in any event, we see from this ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has informed us that those who disbelieve in the resurrection, then they are kuffar. They are kuffar. So any group that doesn't believe in resurrection, then no doubt they are kuffar. Those who don't believe that there will be a Yawmul Qiyamah, then they are kuffar. Those who don't believe that they will be judged, then they are what? Kuffar. And this is important that we know that the shades of disbelief in the hereafter are many. You have those who believe that once they die, that's it. There's nothing that will go beyond that. Then you have others who believe that they will be reincarnated and they will come back to this world as another creature from the creatures and inhabitants of this world. This is also a denial, and this is a disbelief in the hereafter. Naam, because a disbelief in the hereafter is not restricted to those who say that there is no such thing as a hereafter. Also, what is included into that, as Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions, is everyone who believes incorrectly in the hereafter. So anyone who believes incorrectly in the events that's going to take place after their death, then this also enters into a disbelief in the hereafter. So those who believe that after they die they'll be reincarnated and they'll come back and this, that, and the third, then this also enters into disbelief in the hereafter, because this is not accurate. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that from this standpoint also what enters into those who disbelieve in the hereafter is everyone who disbelieves or everyone who believes in it incorrectly. So this would also include the Jews and the Christians. This will also include the Jews and the Christians, because the Christians believe that Jesus is going to judge them on the day of judgment and put them inside of the Jannah. and put others inside of the hellfire. And this is not correct. This is not accurate. This is not the reality. So their misbelief in the hereafter is tantamount to a disbelief in the hereafter. Their misbelief in the hereafter is tantamount to a disbelief in the hereafter. So everyone who believes incorrectly in the hereafter, this equals one who does not believe in the hereafter. Likewise the Jews. The Jews believe that they will come on the day of judgment and they will be the chosen people. And if they are punished, they will only be punished but yet for some days, and that's it. Whereas everyone else from the Gentiles, that they will go to hell and go to hell forever, and so on and so forth. This is not correct. So their incorrect belief and their misbelief in the hereafter is tantamount to a disbelief in the hereafter. So even this ayah here, no doubt, is a dalil to the disbelief of the polytheists, but also what from what Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala he mentions also will enter into that is to the Jews and the Christians. So yet from another standpoint we see that the Jews and the Christians, they are what? Kuffar. And we see that the polytheists are kuffar. Naam. So this is yet another ayah showing us that they are kuffar. وقال الله تعالى عن اليهود, and Allah Ta'ala, he says about the Yahud, he says about the Jew, فبظلم مِّنَ الَّذِينَ هَادُوا, and due to oppression and due to injustice from the Jews, due to oppression and injustice from the Jews, حرمنا عليهم طيبات أحلت لهم, that due to their oppression that we had made haram for them certain good things that were previously halal for them, due to their oppression. وَبِسَدِّهِمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا, and also due to them hindering the way of Allah Ta'ala, also due to them hindering Allah Ta'ala's way much. They used to hinder the way of Allah a lot. Naam. So therefore Allah Ta'ala, he made haram for them certain good things that were previously halal for them as a punishment. Certain good things that were previously halal for them as a punishment. Naam. And this is a side point, but a person may ask, well, what about those dietary laws that we find with the Jews, in it that we are allowed to eat certain things that they aren't allowed to eat? Now, a person may ask, they will say, well, in the Torah, there's certain things that the Jews are not allowed to eat, but the Muslims are allowed to eat. Why is this the case? Now, and this ayah here explains to us why. Because of their oppression and because of their injustice and the like, Allah made certain things that were good haram upon them, that were previously halal for them, and this was what? Out of a punishment for what they used to do. Allah Ta'ala, he goes on and he says, وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَى, and due to them taking interest, and because they used to take interest, نعم, وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ, they used to take interest but they were prevented from it. It was made prohibited upon them to take interest, yet they still took interest. وَأَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ, and because they used to eat the money of the people, or they used to take the money of the people in falsehood, meaning that they used to take the people's money without right. They used to take the money from the people and their wealth without right. Now, I just want you to reflect on these characteristics, because these are definitely things we want to avoid and stay away from. These are definitely things we want to avoid and stay away from. Allah Ta'ala, he goes on and he says, أَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ مِنْهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا, so we prepared for the disbelievers from them a very painful chastisement. So we have prepared for the disbelievers from amongst them a very painful chastisement. Naam. And this ayah can be found in Surah An-Nisa, and it's verse 160 and 161. I want you to contemplate on this ayah now. Because this ayah also is a proof that what? That the Jews are kuffar. That the Jews are kuffar. But let us look to this ayah. قال Imam Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah ta'ala. Imam Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, commenting on Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَأَعْتَدَنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ. He says, أي أَعْتَدَنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ يعني الْيَهُودِ. He said what is meant by this is that we have prepared for the disbelievers, meaning we have prepared for the disbelieving, meaning what? The Jews. We have prepared for the disbelievers, meaning here, who? The Jews. The Jews. So in this ayah, Allah Ta'ala, He calls the Jews what? Kuffar. So how can a person come now and say, no, akhi, they're not kuffar, but they're believers. Their religion is Abrahamic. So they're believers. Naam. This is why we have to join hands with them and have projects with them and do interfaith with them, because they're believers, right? No. They're not believers. Allah Ta'ala makes takfir upon them. Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ أي الْيَهُودِ. That we have prepared for the who? The disbelievers, meaning the Jews. The Jews. Naam. And then there comes the word minhum. And this is where a lot of these Ahl al-Bid'ah and the Hizbi people, where they try to harp on because they don't know, because they're ignorant. They say, but wait, there comes the word minhum, from them. Those who disbelieve, from them. So this means that there are others from them who believe, right? Then the answer is what? No, it's wrong. Wrong. So the Shaykh, he mentions, Imam Ibn Jawzi, he comments upon this, and he mentions this. He says, وَقِيل, and it has been said, إِنَّمَا قَالَ مِنْهُمْ, that verily it has been mentioned from them, لأنه, meaning لأنه Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala علم أن قوما منهم يؤمنون فيأمون العذاب. He said, and it's been said from them, because verily He, Allah Ta'ala, meaning Allah Ta'ala, He knew that there will be a party of them who believed and they will be saved from punishment. That there will be a party of them who believed and they'll be saved from what? From punishment. So what does this mean now? Mind you now, it is speaking, when you look at the context of the ayah, it is speaking about the past nations, or in the past. In the past, right? So what is being mentioned here, it means that those who were sticking to the deen of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam, believing in the Anbiya wal Rusul from Bani Israel, right? That you had from them, those Muslims of that era, those who stuck and they believed in what the prophets had brought. So of course these are not the ones who are being mentioned, because these were not the ones who used to commit oppression. These were not the ones who used to block the path of Allah. These were not those who used to take riba. These were not those who used to eat the people's money and take the people's money falsely. So therefore we understand from that point minhum. That makes sense? Meaning of what? Of those who came what? From before, who lived from before in the previous nations. It's not speaking about those who came or those who were present after the sending of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No. It is not talking about those who disbelieved in the prophets and the messengers when it came to them. No. It's not talking about those Jews who disbelieved in Isa alayhi salatu wasalam in the time of Isa. It's not speaking about them. Because we know those are kuffar. Those who disbelieved in Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, they were kuffar. Those who disbelieved in the prophets and the messengers of Bani Israel, and they were who? They were kuffar, even if they believed in Musa. If they disbelieved in Yahya, then they are what? Kuffar. Disbelieve in Isa, then they are what? Kuffar. So what is being mentioned here? It is being mentioned, except, what's the exclusion? Except for those who were true believers and the Muslims from the previous nations. And they're not included in here. Those Muslims who follow Musa and Harun and the Anbiya of of Bani Israel, then this is not those who are being spoken about. But what's being spoken about is what are the kuffar. But as far as those ones who disbelieve in the prophets and disbelieve in the messengers, then they are kuffar. They are disbelievers. Naam. And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to come back and revisit this point. Bidnillahi ta'ala. وقال الله تعالى عن النصارى, and Allah ta'ala, He says about the Christians, لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله هو المسيح ابن مريم. Allah ta'ala, He says in this ayah, is a surah Al-Ma'idah, and it's verse 72. Allah ta'ala, He says, and verily they are disbelievers, those who say that indeed Allah is Jesus the son of Mary, or is the Messiah the son of Mary. So anyone who say that Allah is the Messiah the son of Mary, then this one is a what? A kafir. Allah says, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ, that verily, indeed, they are disbelievers. Those who what? Those who say that Jesus, those who say that the Messiah, son of Mary, is Allah. Now, is this the belief of the Christians, that He is Allah? Yes. This is their belief. They believe that Jesus is Allah. So therefore Allah tells that then they are what? They're kafirs, they're kuffar. So how is a person going to come now and say that they're believers? And here is a very important principle that Shaykh Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to mention. And that you cannot come to a conclusion or a ruling based upon one verse or one hadith. You can't reach a conclusion or a ruling based upon one ayah or based upon one hadith. But rather you need the ayat and the hadith and that subject to come to a proper conclusion. Now, to come to a proper conclusion. Now, so when we examine all of the proofs and evidences, then we see this is not the case. So if a person comes and he brings you this ayah for Surah Bayyinah, that verily those who disbelieve, إِلَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ, and they say, see, it says from the people of the book. So he asks them, he's saying from the people of the book. The people of the book, they are who? They're going to tell you the Jews and the Christians. So the Jews and the Christians, they're not all kuffar. You have some of them who will believe. You say, then how do we understand this ayah? لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ. Then how do we understand this ayah? That verily they disbelieve those who say that Allah is the Messiah, the son of Mary. How do we understand this? Right? Because this right here takes care of the Christians. It takes care of the what? Of the Christians. Right here. However, what if one of them, they come and they say, but you have from the Christians those who are quote unquote Unitarian, and they don't believe that Jesus is God. They believe He is just a messenger. What about them? Then they will be believers, right? Because this ayah wouldn't be applicable to them, right? So he's saying, no, they are still kuffar. They're still kuffar. And this is why we need the proofs and the evidences about that topic, not just one proof and one evidence. In Surah An-Nisa, verse 150 and 151, and I want you to listen very closely now, because this goes back to the Jews as well, and other than them. But specifically, we're speaking about the Jews and the Christians, because these are the ones who people have doubts about. وَيَعَذُ بِاللَّهِ. Allah Ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْفُرُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ. Verily those who disbelieve in Allah and in His messengers. I want you to listen to this now. Listen to the wording. Allah Ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْفُرُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ. that verily those who disbelieve in Allah and who disbelieve in His messengers, يريدون أن يفرقوا بين الله ورسله, they want to separate between Allah and His messengers. That verily those who disbelieve in Allah and His messengers, they want to separate between Allah and between His messengers. وَيَقُولُونَ, and they say, listen to what they say, those whom Allah Ta'ala has informed us that they are disbelievers, those whom Allah Ta'ala has informed us that they are kuffar, listen to what they say. Allah Ta'ala, He informed us, as He says, وَيَقُولُونَ, and they say, نُؤْمِنُوا بِبَعْضٍ وَنَكْفُرُوا بِبَعْضٍ, they say we believe in some of them and we disbelieve in others from them. Meaning what? We believe in some prophets and messengers and we disbelieve in other prophets and messengers. Naam. So listen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَيُرِيدُونَ أَن يَتَّخِذُوا بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا, and they wish to adopt a way that's in between. They wish to adopt a way that's in between. They saying, but no, we don't disbelieve in prophets and messengers. We believe in prophets and messengers. But we don't believe in all the prophets and messengers. We believe in prophets and messengers. We just don't believe that Jesus was a prophet and a messenger. We just don't believe that Muhammad was a prophet and a messenger. Because this will be the case of the who? Of the Jew. Because the Jews, they don't believe in Isa. And the Jews, they don't believe in Muhammad, alayhi wassalatu wassalam. Right or wrong? They don't believe in him. But those who deny some of the messengers by believing in others of the messengers, what does Allah call them? Those who come and they say, we believe in Musa, we believe in Harun, we believe in Ibrahim, we believe in Yaqub, we believe in Yusuf, alayhim wassalatu wassalam, so on and so forth, right? We believe in them. But we just don't believe in Isa, and we just don't believe in Muhammad, alayhim wassalatu wassalam. What does Allah Ta'ala call them? Allah Ta'ala calls them what? Kuffar. Not just kuffar, but Allah Ta'ala, He says that what He establishes, that what? That in reality, they disbelieve in Allah, and they disbelieve in His messengers. All of them. Not just the ones who they acknowledge, but in reality, they disbelieve in what? All of the messengers. And we're going to bring the proof of this, inshallah ta'ala. But before that, I want you to understand the characteristic of these individuals, is that they believe in some messengers and disbelieve in other messengers. Right? So now, is this true with regards to the Jews, that they believe in some messengers and disbelieve in other messengers? Is that true with regards to them? Yes. What about the Christians? Is it true that the Christians believe in some messengers and disbelieve in other messengers? Yes, because they don't believe in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they believe in some messengers and disbelieve in other messengers. This is a characteristic, this is a trait that is shared between the Jews and the Christians. Right? What does Allah say about the ones who believe in some messengers and disbelieve in other messengers? What does Allah say about them? Allah says about them in the next ayah, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ, that verily these ones, indeed, they are the disbelievers, haqqan. Allah just doesn't call them al-kafirun. But Allah Ta'ala, He says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ حَقًّا, that verily these are the true disbelievers. That those who believe in some prophets while disbelieving in other prophets, then verily these are the true disbelievers. These are the disbelievers real for real. Now, so now when we look at this now, right, how can an individual possibly think that there are believers from the Jews and the Christians? It's not possible. It's not possible that there are any believers from the Jews and the Christians. Why? Because they disbelieve in the prophets and messengers. They disbelieve in the prophets and messengers. Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ, and we have prepared for the kuffar. We have prepared for the kuffar what? Adhaban muhina. We have prepared for the kuffar a most disgraceful punishment, a most disgraceful chastisement. So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that those who believe in some messengers while disbelieving in other messengers, that verily they are the true disbelievers. Verily they are the true disbelievers. So when we look at this ayah and this, and we look at this issue, Juyaanee, and look at this in light of this ayah, then we realize that there's no such thing as a Jew that believes. So when we go back to the previous ayah and it says minhum, from them, then we understand that what? From those ones who truly believed in Musa, they truly believed in Harun, they truly believed in the prophets and messengers of Bani Israel, and they were in fact what? Muslims. Muslims from the previous nation. Then these are excluded because they're not included into what? Into the disbelieving Jews. The Muslims are not the disbelieving Jews. So the minhum is what? Is to highlight that those Muslims of that era are not the ones who are being referred to, but rather those disbelievers of that era who disbelieved in the prophets and messengers, who committed these acts of oppression, who used to eat the people's money unjustly and take the people's money unjustly, and who used to take interest and so on and so forth. These are the ones who are being referred to. It's not talking about what? Jews in general as the exception. But the Jews are who? They are the ones who are the kuffar. But the Muslims who lived back then this is the exception. This is clear? This is clear? Now the Muslim, this is the exception. So whenever you see the ayat like this, then this is speaking about what? It's speaking about those ones who came before the sending of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they believed in the prophets and message that was sent to them. So if you ever see an ayah, right, and you start to understand from it that there are believers from previous nations, then it's speaking about who? The Muslims from those previous nations. It's speaking about the Muslims from those previous nations. As we know, that every prophet and messenger was a Muslim, and all of their followers were Muslims. So those Muslims who was holding on to the message of the prophets and messengers, these are the believers of old. These are the believers of old, of antiquity, the Muslims from that era. But once the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came, any Jew or Christian who doesn't believe in him, then he is a kafir. Period. And what is the proof that if you disbelieve in one messenger, you disbelieve in them all? Allah Ta'ala, He says, كذبت قوم نوح المرسلين. And this is in Surah Shu'ara. It is verse 105. Allah Ta'ala, He says that the people of Nuh alayhi salam, they disbelieved in the messengers. The people of Nuh disbelieved in the messengers. Now, as we know, there is a difference between a prophet and a messenger. You have from the ulama those who say that a prophet is the one who receives a revelation but is not commanded to convey it. And a messenger is one who receives a revelation and he is commanded to convey it. Others from the ulama, they say that a prophet is one who receives revelation, but he does not receive a sharia. He does not receive a legislative law. Whereas a messenger is one who receives wahi and he receives a legislative law. So this is the difference. Now, ala kulli hal, we understand there's a difference between a prophet and a messenger. Allah in this ayah, He says that the people of Nuh, they disbelieve in the mursaleen. Mursaleen, meaning messengers. As we know, Nuh alayhi salam, he was the first messenger. He was the first messenger. Okay? There were no messengers before Nuh alayhi salam. He was the very first messenger. But Allah Ta'ala, He says that the people of Nuh disbelieved in all of the messengers. Right? But who did they actually disbelieve in? Who did they actually deny and belie? Nuh alayhi salam. How many messengers did they disbelieve in? Just one. But Allah Ta'ala, He used the plural, that they disbelieve in all of the messengers, showing that if you disbelieve in one messenger, you disbelieve in all the messengers. Denying one of them is to deny all of them. Naam. To deny one is to deny all of them. But so we realize that the denial of one messenger will make you a kafir. And the Jews deny at least two. At least two. Right? At least two they deny. And the Christians deny one. At least one. Right? Because sometimes if you ask them about Salih and Hud, they don't acknowledge them. They don't acknowledge them. Now, so when we say at least one, they disbelieve in. At least one. And just to deny one is to deny them all. And Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that the denial of the Christians in particular of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a denial of Isa specifically. He said because Isa alayhi salam, he informed them that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going to come. So when they deny the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once he has come, then they are in essence denying their prophet specifically, or denying who they claim to be their prophet more accurately. Specifically, why? Because they're denying and belying when he told them that Ahmed was going to come alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, so when one understands it and looks at it from this standpoint, is there any way possible that a Christian now, after the sending of the Prophet ﷺ, can be considered a believer? Kaif. There's no way. There's no way they can be considered a believer. Now, also, as a dalil that Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, he was the first messenger, as Allah Ta'ala's statement as it comes in Surah Nisa in his verse 63, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, إِنَّا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ كَمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى نُوحٍ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. Allah Ta'ala, he says, what means, and verily we have revealed to you, O Muhammad, just as we have revealed to Nuh and to those prophets that came after him. And those prophets who came after him. Naam. So this ayah, we understand that what? That Nuh alayhi salam, he was what? The first messenger. And the proof of that is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَالنَّبِيِّينَ مِن بَعْدِهِ. And those what? Those messengers who came after them. So verily we have revealed to you a sharia, O Muhammad, just as we revealed to Nuh a sharia, and to those prophets who came after him, who we revealed the sharia to. Naam. Because see, every messenger is a prophet, but not every prophet is a messenger. That makes sense? Right. So this is why we know that anyone who comes after the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, after the sending of the Prophet ﷺ, and he says that he is a messenger, then we know that he is a liar. He's a liar. Because some try to play slick and they say, no, I'm not saying he's a prophet, I'm saying he's a messenger. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he was the last prophet. But this guy here, he's a messenger. Let me say that. Because it is not possible to be a messenger without being a prophet. Every prophet or every messenger is a prophet, but not every prophet is a messenger. Every messenger is a prophet, but not every prophet is a messenger. You understand? So it's not possible to be a messenger without being a prophet. So if you're claiming he's a messenger, then you're saying and you're claiming he is a prophet, and that course, that's disbelief. That's disbelief. Naam. In any event, there's something that has to be brought out here and mentioned. As Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions, وقال Imam al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, in commenting upon Allah Ta'ala's statement in Surah Nisa, verse 163, which establishes the fact that Nuh alayhi salam, he was the first messenger. وقال الشيخ رحمه الله تعالى وبهذا نعلم خطأ المؤرخين الذين قالوا إن إدريس عليه الصلاة والسلام قبل نوح عليه الصلاة والسلام، بل الذي يظهر أن إدريس صلى الله عليه وسلم من أنبياء بني إسرائيل. Very important point right now. The Shaykh, he says, and from this standpoint, we realize the error of the historians who say that Idris alayhi salatu salam was before Noah, because some historians, they say that Idris lived before Noah. Alright, this is what some of the historians they say. And even some of the posters you will find that mention the prophets and messengers, and they try to bring them in a chronological order, they mention Idris before Noah. Right? And the Shaykh, he says that this is clear that this is an error, because Idris, he was not a messenger before Noah. He was not before Noah. But rather what is apparent, the Shaykh, he says, what is apparent is that Idris alayhi salatu salam, he was from the prophets of Bani Israel. Then in actuality, he was from the prophets of Bani Israel, which means what? That he lived many years after Noah alayhi salatu salam. He was not before Noah. So this is a very important point that we have to remember, because you find that this is one of those errors that is widespread. This is one of those errors that is widespread. You find it in a lot of books. They mention that Noah, or they mention that Idris alayhi salatu salam, he was before Noah alayhi salatu salam, but this is not accurate. This is not accurate. But rather, Idris alayhi salatu salam, he was from the Anbiya, he was from the prophets of the children of Israel. He was from the prophets of the children of Israel. Right. So, ala kullin, when we look back and we examine all of these proofs and all of these evidences, then we see clearly that those Jews and the Christians, after the sending of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those Jews and those Christians who disbelieved in prophets and messengers, those Christians who believed that Isa is Allah, or is one of or that Allah is one of three of the Trinity, then these are kuffar. All of these are kuffar, and there is no doubt about this. They are all kuffar. So ala kullin, it is incumbent upon us that we make takfir upon those whom Allah and the Prophet ﷺ had made takfir upon. We have to make takfir upon those who Allah and His Messenger have made takfir upon. And anyone who doesn't do this, then this will be what? This will be belying the likes of these verses in which we have read. This will be belying the ahadith which comes pointing out and establishing that the Jews and the Christians are kuffar. It will be belying these things. So by belying any verse of the Qur'an, then this is what will make you leave Islam. By denying and belying any letter of the Qur'an, there's one letter from the Qur'an, then this will make a person a kafir. Also, those who have doubt that they're kuffar, then this is tantamount of saying that you have doubt in what Allah is informing you of in these verses. That you doubt that this is accurate, you doubt this is true, and no doubt about it, then this is also what? This is kufr. This will nullify a person's Islam. And bila shak wa bila raib, anybody who deems it okay, who deems their way okay, then no doubt this person is a kafir. The one who will come and say that the religion of the Christian is okay, it's fine, it's okay for him to do that, and he'll be judged on the day of judgment according to how well he followed his book, like the followers of Wafdi Muhammad say, then no doubt this is kufr. This is kufr. Those who say that the Jews will be judged, that what they're doing right now is fine, it's okay, it's acceptable, and they'll be judged about how well they used to follow their book, like the followers of Wafdi Muhammad say, then no doubt this is kufr. Now, we're not saying that they're kuffar. I'm not making takfir on the Wali followers of Wafdi Muhammad. Now, I'm not making takfir upon them, but no doubt they have fallen into kufr by taking this false belief. No doubt they have fallen into kufr by taking this false belief. But this doesn't mean that the kufr fell upon them, because there has to be an establishment of the proofs and evidences against them first. Then it has to be known that they understood it, and then at that point and the like. Now, but in speaking in general, the likes of these beliefs are kufr. To believe that their way is okay, it's fine, it's acceptable, and they'll be judged Yawm al-Qiyamah based upon how well they followed their book and the like, then no doubt this is not correct, because this is not what Allah Ta'ala informs us in the Qur'an. But Allah Ta'ala, He informs us that what? أَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ, that we have prepared for the disbelievers. From who? From these individuals, a painful punishment. We have prepared for them the hellfire. Naam. So beware, ya ikhwa, beware of the people who call to interfaith dialogue. Beware of the people who call to unification of the religions. Beware of the people who call to religious tolerance in areas in which we are not allowed to be tolerant, and so on and so forth. Beware of those who say that the way of the Jews and the Christians is okay, and you shouldn't call them kuffar, don't call them kuffar, and so on and so forth. And we say we're going to call them kuffar because they're kuffar. Allah calls them kuffar, so we call them kuffar. Like they tried to tell they try to put pressure upon the Muslims, certain Western powers, to don't refer to the Jews and the Christians as kuffar and the like, but refer to them as something else. But the reality is, what shall we refer to them as except for what they are? They're kuffar. They'll say no, but call them people of the book. We say tayyib, but even in our book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls the people of the book kuffar. So what else are we going to call them but kuffar? The people of the book are kuffar. Naam. So we're not scared to call them kuffar, because what is a kuffar? There's nothing else to call them but kuffar. Allah ta'ala has not referred to them as anything except, so we refer to them as what they are. They're kuffar. Ahl kitab, tayyib, la bas, ma zalu kafirin. They're still kuffar. Naam, they're still kuffar. Tayyib. Ala kullin, the Shaykh, he ends this chapter by saying, إِلَى غَيْرِ ذَلِكَ مِنَ الْآيَاتِ, and to other than that from the ayat. Other than that from the many ayat which points us to the fact that the Jews and the Christians and the polytheists, then they are disbelievers. The Shaykh, he says, فَمَنْ لَمْ يكفر هؤلاء الكافرين فإنه يكون قد كفر بخبر الله عز وجل عنهم أنهم كافرون. He said, and whoever does not deem as being a disbeliever these disbelievers, then verily in essence they have disbelieved in what Allah has informed them about, or what Allah has informed them with regards to them, that verily they are disbelievers. وَلِذَلِكَ يَعْتَبِرُ كَافِرًا, and for this reason, and due to this, you will find that they will be considered kuffar. And for this reason, and you will find that they will be considered kuffar. Why? Because they will be disbelieving in what Allah has informed them of with regards to these individuals. Now, and then we move on to the next nullifier, which is the fourth. ولكن نكتفي بهذا القدر. We're going to suffice ourselves with that which has been mentioned, and we'll pick up from this point بإذن الله تعالى in next week's dars. فنكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وجزاكم الله خيرا. For those who called in, and likewise those who came out in attendance, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless each and every one of you, increase you in beneficial knowledge and righteous good deeds, increase you in halal provisions. أسأل الله تعالى أن يوفقني وإياكم لما يحبه ويرضى. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me and you the success in doing that in which He loves and that which He is pleased with. وأن يجعلنا من الذين يستمعون قولا فيتبعون أحسنا, and that He makes us of those who hear a statement and then they follow the best of it. وأن يجعلنا مباركا حيثما كنا, that He makes us blessed wherever we may be. وأن يجعلنا ممن إذا أعطي شكر, and that He makes us of those who when they are given they are thankful. وَضُبُطُلِيَ صَبر, and those who when they are tested they are patient. وَإِذَا أَذْنَبَ اسْتَغْفَرَ, and those who, when they make sins, they ask for forgiveness. فَإِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ ثَلَاثَ عُنْوَانُ السَّعَادَةِ, because verily these three are signs of true happiness. فَإِلَى اللِّقَاءِ, until the next time, inshallah ta'ala. استودعكم الله. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.